It's a Fireside Chat, y'all.
Welcome back to another Fireside Chat, where we bring casual technology conversations to you. With us, I've got Marshall Hill, Solutions Architect, and we are talking AMP for Endpoints. So, Marshall, tell me a little bit about AMP for Endpoints. What is it?
At a very high level, the acronym stands for Advanced Malware Protection.
Okay.
Obviously, it installs on endpoints. There is an agent. I think what's nice for customers in this kind of modern mobile world is having a solution that addresses your users that are either in your office, but also that might be working from home, working from a Starbucks, and how do you continue to give continued data protection, endpoint protection while they're on a multitude of devices as well as they're mobile. So one of the innovations that I like about AMP for Endpoints is the cloud managed piece of it. I've used a number of antivirus applications throughout the years. Early days using McAfee and their EPO engine, where it's an on-prem server and it's great for managing the devices that are connected on your network, but as soon as those devices are off your network, you have no visibility.
Okay.
So AMP solves that and much more. I mean, it's definitely a fully robust application that's leveraging the power of the cloud, big data, analytics, machine learning, and taking the traditional kind of traditional antivirus engine that would have to do all of the next-gen features on an endpoint, consuming resources on that endpoint, which you really can't do very well for smaller mobile endpoints. It moves all of that heavy lifting to the cloud.
And so one thing that I kind of caught on that you said was, you said traditional antivirus, and we're calling this anti-malware protection. So I think that's a lot of, I hear that question a lot, is does this just stop malware, or is it antivirus? Is the antivirus also included in AMP?
There is a component that can fulfill the traditional antivirus role, but I think that really the advanced and next gen and trying to figure out, well, where are the attacks coming from? What is the attack vector? What do you need to protect against? We hear a lot about ransomware. A lot of people are concerned and worried about that.
Yeah.
AMP for Endpoints addresses that. And so being able to look at multiple levels. The framework that AMP has is actually not just a static single engine. It has multiple levels of protection. It has the basic of one-to-one SHA-256, but if that's all it did, it wouldn't probably be very good. So it has fuzzy fingerprinting, it has machine learning. One of the things that I like about the product is it will actually learn everything that you have in your environment and figure out what the anomalies are in your environment. So for instance, if IT deploys for all the machines, Office, and there's the executables for Office, it will know that that's a common application, and most likely that's an approved application.
Okay.
But if a person or a few people have a file, an executable, or some other type of file that's just unique on their machines, that might be cause to look at. And so the AMP for Endpoints also has what Cisco calls their threat grid, which does file analysis and execution in their cloud, in a sandbox, and it can take those files that aren't really prevalent in your environment across the board, and it can actually execute that in their sandbox, in their threat grid cloud. And if it does something malicious, it can then automatically quarantine it. And this is all happening in the background without the customer having to worry, even while someone's remote at home working, not on the VPN. It's protecting and analyzing all of these files that attackers, they're not stopping. They're not,
Right.
taking a break just because you're working from home.
Right.
So I'm very impressed with the product. I guess, I'll ask the question since I figured I kind of came prepared to throw one at you.
Oh man, that's
a little different.
unfair. That's
Yeah.
unfair.
Yeah, since we're casually talking. What was one of the drivers that you had for making us at Looking Point install AMP for endpoints on everything? We installed it on servers. We installed it on non-managed devices. What were you thinking?
So, I think when we were looking at our own security posture, we said, how do we, and as you know, we're a consulting company. We have people that like to build their own machines. It may not be bring your own device, but we provide the device. We have engineers. They don't want anybody else building their machine, as you know. They build their own machine. And so with that, we did a couple key things, which I think you know is we have the Cisco ASAs. We have AnyConnect. And AnyConnect offered the ability to push AMP for endpoints down to the endpoint. It allowed us to push the OpenDNS connector down to the endpoint. And so when I look at that type of security solution, it's very easy to provide a certain level of security to every single device that we have just by having them VPN in or run a URL. And it's not intrusive, and it still allows people to have the flexibility, the autonomy to build their own OS, but still be protected. And so I think for us as a business, and as we need to protect our client data, we need to protect our data. We don't want to get hit by malware either. So when we were looking at products, we selected AMP for endpoints, and I think it was mainly just ease of deployment, and frankly, we needed a good security solution that gave us visibility regardless of where the endpoint was. And so I think those are all good points that you brought up, is the file trajectory and the analytics and the threat grid, being able to send executables up to the cloud and quarantine that. So yeah, it gave us a lot of flexibility and ease of deployment. So yeah.
Well, and I think, that's what we're hearing from other customers. So it was nice that you shared that.
Yeah.
The ecosystem of where you can install AMP for endpoints, as well as have it be IT managed and even all the way down to BYOD. And then the product itself isn't just AMP for endpoints and that's it. Like you mentioned, firewalls. So we have actually advanced malware protection on firewalls.
Right.
So that if we have someone in our office, maybe a guest, that we're not managing that person's device, we still want to protect all data coming in and out of our office. And so we have advanced malware protection on our edge devices, such as firewalls. And then we also have in our office, like many customers, the Cisco ICE product for identifying endpoints, managing, say, 8021X.
Yep. That
can actually integrate and connect with AMP for endpoints. And so you're pulling in, if an endpoint from AMP is triggered as having a malicious file, AMP for endpoints can quarantine that file, but IT may want to take a step further and investigate what else has happened to that machine.
Right.
And so they can trigger a rule within ICE to quarantine that machine off of the corporate network. Maybe it puts it into a guest network so they can maybe access internet or download other kind of patches. So yeah, I'm definitely impressed with the full ecosystem that Cisco has provided from a advanced data protection across the entire stack. It's not just a point solution.
Yep. Well, awesome. Well, I appreciate you coming out and talking about AMP and sharing thoughts, and also giving me some questions. So it's great.
I couldn't leave you just one-sided. So yeah, maybe next time I'll come up with some more.
That's awesome. Well, thanks. So there you have it. AMP for endpoints. It's cloud managed. It's pervasive, so you can control endpoints whether they're in the organization, out of the organization. It can also has that capability to put files and run them into threat grid and make sure that those malicious files are contained and push that prevention policy out to all the endpoints. If you have any questions for us or suggestions, email us at firesidechat@lookingpoint.com. Thanks for watching.
It's a fireside chat, y'all.